Since the last video on my main account where we got Flins and built him up decently, I have been messing around with some different team options and doing some more creative stuff with Flins. And I have landed on one team that I would really like to put some more effort into and try to build, and that is this one. Varesa is probably one of my favorite characters right now, and I use her all of the time, specifically in Lunar-Charged teams. I use her with Varesa and Xianyun, and then normally I will have like a Ian Sun or I don't know, someone else in this fourth slot. But we can throw Flins in here for this passive. Which one is it? This one, which will make electro-charge damage do lunar-charge damage. So we can build a lunar-charged Varesa, which sounds very, very interesting, and I would like to mess around with it. Also, on a side note, for everyone that let me know in the last video, I have swapped the team I'm running Flins on. He is now on this one with Ino, Sucrose, and Cookie. I do need to level up Sucrose and Cookie at some point, but this is the team I'm running him on now. Because as I was made very aware, Varesa doesn't really do a whole lot for Flins. In fact, she does basically nothing. In this team, however, we have Varesa there for Varesa. Flins will still do a bit of damage. I believe with the team I was running him on in the last video, I think we got to 207,000 was the highest damage in Abyss. And that was with Varesa and Shalonen. And Ino, Varesa will still make Flins do a bit of damage, but he won't have max potential here just because we're not using his proper team. But that doesn't matter because this team is mainly focusing on Varesa's damage. But the first thing we need to do before we can actually test this out and do some cool stuff with this team is finally level 90 Flins. Now, I've already farmed all of his boss drops and everything else. We just need a couple more of these. So let me go quickly grab these. And then I will also have to look into his talents, which might be an issue. But now we can ascend Flins. So I believe I have enough Mora and level up books for this. Never mind. I thought I had enough books. I had 115 purples, but that is not enough. So 89, I guess I can go run a ley line. Okay, never mind. Looks like I'm going to need to run 2 ley lines. Unless I can get level up books from somewhere else, which I actually could potentially do and save my resin a little bit, so give me a second. Finally, Flins, there is level 90. So now that means we can have a look at your other stuff. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to do anything with his skill because we just cannot craft enough of those. But we are going to be able to get his burst up to another level. Probably that'll be it because we don't have enough golds. So there we go. There is level 8 for your burst. We can't go any further because we are 1 out of Mora. And 2, we don't have any of these. They aren't open today. And we could definitely craft more of them. But that's all we can do for Flins at the moment. So last but not least, let me have a... Actually, no, I can't really do anything with these, can I? Because none of these are good. If we had like a decent-ish set, I could maybe make it work. But nothing's really that good. So we're going to have to stick with Thundering Fury. Unless I want to go for a more supportive set, seeing as he's going to be like a second DPS for Varesa, who is running Long Knight's Oath. I believe that's probably the best bet for this, because it just buffs plunging damage a ton. I could potentially swap it to something else that's more for electro-charged, but this should be just fine. If I did want to go something more electro-charged based, I mean, really it would just be swapping out a Thundering Fury or this, I guess. And we don't really have either of them, so we can just leave her on that. That works. Or we could also use her on the Natlan set, whatever that one is that I forget the name of it. Obsidian Codex. But that one doesn't do much either. Long Knight's Oath is definitely her best in slot. So we're just going to leave her on that. She is on the Widsith, level 1099 in terms of talents. And she has almost 2,000 attack, a 59 to 246. That 59 is pretty low. And I could definitely fix that if I wanted to run her on a crit rate circlet, which I possibly could if we do that. 84 to 196, so it really drops that crit damage down a lot, but it brings that crit rate up. Although I like seeing big crit damage numbers, so screw it, we're going back to this. I like that 246 crit damage. Varesa is built as usual Golden Troop. I have her on Favonius. I don't really have any better options for her. Talents are 599. Xianyun is 399. She has Viridescent, so she's still giving everyone the Viridescent buff. She is on Skyward Atlas, not at level 90. Can we get it to level 90? Not really, unless I want to go do a bunch of farming, which I don't really feel like doing right now. She has 3,000 attack, so she's all good. And then Flins, 2,000 attack, 69.9 to 225. That's not terrible. Staff of Homer, Thundering Fury, and then 258. I would like to actually look at something really quick. How many of these do I have? I have 13 fragile resin. Let's do 3 runs in here. Now, do I expect anything from this? Absolutely not. But I might as well give it a shot because it would be nice to get this for Flins. And we might as well give this team a little bit of a tryout in here while we're at it. Also, something weird I've noticed about this domain in particular, is it just me or does it look like ultra high quality or something? I don't know. It just looks different. This is definitely not the optimal team to bring in here, but we're going to use it anyway. 58,000 from Flins is not particularly good, but it's single target, so he's not really built for that. He is Lunar-Charged or Electro-Charged, and that is very much multi-target. We also have 20 normal resin, and there is an artifact bonus at the moment, so let's actually do that. Do we get anything good? No and no. Now, let me have a look at what Varesa's Lunar-Charges are doing. 20,000 there. There's 150,000 from her burst on as a non-lunar charge. 130,000, 20,000s. Yeah, we've seen those lunar charges hit for about 20,000, which is not bad. Obviously, I don't think it's optimal because Flins does a lunar charge in his kit. This is not actually technically Varesa's own damage doing lunar charge. It is the little cloud when you trigger electro charge. That's doing the lunar charge. But I believe it is still based off of characters' stats. Like, if Varesa's the one that triggers the lunar charge, it's going to still base the damage off Varesa's stats. I actually am not 100% sure about that, but I think that's how it works. So if we have Varesa on better stats, then the lunar charges that Varesa does will do more damage. I believe that is sort of how it works. While Flins, on the other hand, just does lunar charge like as his burst, that is just considered lunar charge damage. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on exactly how that works, but I think that is how it works, because if we go over to Flins and we do lunar charges here, we see different numbers from those lunar charges. So I'm assuming it is based on characters' stats. So basically, it just means we do normal big Varesa numbers, except we just get some extra lunar charges thrown in every now and then. And then we can also use Flins as a bit of a second DPS just whenever we want to. Well, unless I can get 4 artifacts in this run and all of them are pretty decent, I don't think we are going to be able to make an upgrade to Flins' build, which was mostly expected. I mean, I could use the artifact, whatever it's called, thing to create an artifact for him, but that doesn't really help us because we still need the rest of the set. But you never know, we could get 4 absolutely gorgeous artifacts on the right set, double crit attack, all that good stuff right here. We see Elemental Mastery Circlet, not that good. Crit rate, that's, you know, it's doable. We can make do with it. And Elemental Mastery Sands I don't think is good. We want, I believe, just attack percent. So as a surprise to no one, we get nothing, which means it is time to go do some testing. I would also like to try out some different artifacts with Varesa at some point, just because I want to see how that lunar charge damage changes if I end up swapping her onto, say, a Thundering Fury for the extra electro-charged and a lunar charge damage, or onto, I don't think there's really anything else that does electro-charge or lunar charge damage, so I'll just mainly swap her to Thundering Fury and see what that does. And when I do that, obviously Flins won't have Thundering Fury, so I can put him in a more supportive set, I guess. I don't know, we can try some stuff out. But let's see what this does. We want to see some big lunar charge damage. Let's do some Flynn stuff first. Boom. We see, I didn't see anything, but some 27,000s, you know, whatever. Boom, 59,000. Yeah, pretty standard Flynn's damage for not being on a very good team and not having two Nog Cry characters. As for Varesa, we see some 92,000s from normal damage and some 22,000s from Lunar Charge. But pretty consistently just doing that 22,000. That's pretty good. Otherwise, rest of Varesa's damage is doing standard Varesa numbers. So yeah, I mean, that's not bad. Let me leave this. Not bad. I would like to try out swapping these builds a little bit. So we're going to have Varesa on Thundering Fury set for electro damage and electro charge, lunar charge, all that stuff. So we will just yoink Flins' pieces. She can go on the crit damage circlet though, because that is fine as long as we have enough crit rate, which we should do. And then we can go off beast for the Sands, although I believe her Sands is actually pretty good. In fact, it's actually the best one we've got on this account. Okay, well, that works. Thundering Fury, 67 to 51. Actually, better crit ratios. That's good. Flins now, though, is going to be on not the correct set. So what could we run Flins on? Obviously, this is going to be his best bet, but we can't do that. So we could just run him on Noblesse for extra damage. I guess why not? Let's just go Noblesse. This is so far from his premium build, but it will increase his burst damage. And I mean, technically it will work. It'll support Varesa a little bit more. Yeah, I guess we could try this out. It would be so much more useful if I actually had Flins's correct set, but we do not. So we're going to have to make do with this kind of scuffed build. So we'll do that, we'll do that, we'll do burst. That does so little damage. But what is Varesa's damage looking like? Definitely less on the normal type of damage. But the Lunar-Charges, I haven't managed to see that many of them. Okay, let's have a look. We see, I think there's some 26,000s there potentially. There's a 25,000. I think there's a 42,000. Okay, yeah, 42,000. So almost doubling the damage from the Lunar-Charges now, which is good, although Varesa's own personal damage is definitely taking a little bit of a hit. Actually, not massively, to be fair. That was a 38,000. Boom, we do 156,000. Yeah, actually, her damage isn't taking much of a hit at all. If anything, this might actually be stronger, because that Lunar-Charges are doing quite a lot of damage, and I think her normal damage is still about the same. So, I mean, hey, that actually did it kind of quick, and that didn't feel too bad. Obviously, as you all know, Flins is definitely not good with Farina. Farina's definitely doing nothing for Flins in this team, but this team is more built to look at Varesa's damage and just have Flins to basically enable us to do Lunar-Charge, which, as long as we can do everything correctly, doesn't do terrible damage. We still get sort of similar Varesa numbers from Varesa, and we see some, I think 42,000 was the highest I saw from those Lunar-Charges. So, I mean, not the worst. Definitely, my classic kind of scuffed team that isn't really good for much, but it could be a fun little overworld team to use Varesa in, because there is never too many teams for Varesa. I will use her in just about everything. And honestly, I could just do that for Flins rather than his mini burst, because he's not doing damage. So it might honestly just be better just to use his very cool looking burst. So I mean, like, hey, it's definitely not the perfect team, but it does actually kind of function, and it is kind of fun. I definitely think having Varesa on Thundering Fury does a little bit more for this team, because the Lunar-Charges do more damage. Flins, it would definitely be good to get him on to his signature artifact set, get him onto this, but we don't have that at the moment. So yeah, that'd be the only upgrade I'd really need to make. Varesa's fine on Thundering Fury though. But yeah, honestly, not a bad team. I did quite enjoy that. I will be swapping all my artifacts back to what they usually were though, because I don't think I'm going to be using this team a ton properly. It's more just going to be for some fun stuff, and in which case I'd rather have my regular builds. But once I do get to this, I can definitely try to get some more damage out of Flins. And that might make this team a little bit stronger. Or actually, it will definitely make this team quite a bit stronger. So there we go, back to our usual builds. Not the best performing team in the world, but it was very, very fun. We got to use Varesa more, so I can't complain. So with that being said, this is a bit of a shorter video because I'm kind of rushing to get this out. I'm doing a lot of other stuff at the moment. So this video has to come out tonight again. I did the same thing for my last video or whatever it was. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you liked this video, go check out the last video where we actually pulled for this man and got him built and put onto the wrong team. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Good. Bye.